Man and machine taking to the air. Oh, yeah! Pushing the limits. Heroes in the sky. Now, let's look at the top 10 flyers of all time. Here's your host, Colin Cowherd.
Hello, fans of flying. You know, in sports, we toss the word hero around all the time. But putting aside the scores and stats, let's talk about some real-life heroes that we can all look up to, because they took to the skies. So let's count down our top 10 flyers.
Oh boy, here we go.
Number 10, Louis Blériot.
On July 25th, 1909, Blériot attained worldwide fame as the first pilot to fly across the English Channel.
Is that true? Oh, yeah, true.
One wonders where he came up with the designs for his plane's wings. I'm just saying.
Number 9, Robert Hoover.
Bob's skills as an aerobatic performer are unmatched. His most famous stunt was to pour a glass of iced tea by doing a barrel roll so his pitcher could pour into a glass upside down at high speed. Woo! That was kind of fun.
That guy's good.
Number 8, Elizabeth Bessie Coleman.
Bessie Coleman was the first African-American woman to earn an international aviation license from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale. That was June 21st, 1921. Before becoming a pilot, she was a manicurist. So whenever she came in for a landing, she nailed it.
You make joke?
Bessie was also a pioneer for race equality, refusing to appear at any place where African Americans weren't admitted as spectators.
That's what I'm talking about.
Number 7, James Jimmy Doolittle.
Jimmy Doolittle was a pioneering aviator who earned many medals and trophies and set a world speed record in 1925. You know, for a guy named Doolittle, he did a lot.
Number 6, Wiley Post.
In a plane called the Winnie Mae, Wiley Post made the first round-the-world flight in 1931. It took 8.5 days. That sound means it's time for a cool fact lightning round. Let's see how many cool facts we can rack up in just 15 seconds.
We're talking light speed here.
I'll give you the head start.
On your mark, get set. Number 1, Louis Blériot designed numerous planes for the Allies in World War II. Jimmy Doolittle made the first flight to ever be flown using only instruments. For most of his career, Wiley Post only had one eye. In World War II, Bob Hoover escaped from the POW camp, stole a plane he'd never flown before, and piloted back to safety. 4 facts, personal best, yeah!
You were in the zone.
Number 5, the Tuskegee Airmen.
World War II was the first time that African Americans were allowed to serve in the U.S. Army Air Corps and became known as the Tuskegee Airmen. Not only did their squadrons boast impressive combat records, they also fought racial prejudice in a still segregated America. Based on a feature of their planes, the Tuskegee Airmen's famous nickname was the Red Tail.
Wow, a red tail P-51.
Number 4, Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes was a pilot and an innovator of technology. He set records and won awards for both speed and distance. But let's be honest, he's probably most famous today for being crazy rich.
Oh, yeah!
He made his first airplane flight at age 14, obtained a pilot's license in 1928. Only 10 years later, he'd flown around the world. Stop being so ambitious. His one notable failure, the Spruce Goose, was a giant plane made entirely of wood, but it was too heavy. Hughes flew it once, but then that goose was cooked.
Number 3, Amelia Earhart.
In 1922, Amelia Earhart set a world altitude record for female pilots, 14,000 feet.
Wow!
But Earhart is probably best known as the first woman to make a solo transatlantic flight in 1932.
Good show!
Not only was Amelia an amazing pilot, she was a style icon too. Her slightly shaggy hair bob was imitated by many women, girls, and certain pop stars.
Number 2, Charles Lindbergh.
Nicknamed Lucky Lindy and the Lone Eagle, Charles Lindbergh, on May 20th, 1927, took off from Long Island. No radio, no parachute, so he could carry more gasoline.
Run that by me one more time?
Hey, with no radio, he didn't have to listen to endless commercials or those ranting sports talk radio hosts. Those guys are annoying. 33.5 hours later, he landed in Paris. That was the world's first non-stop transatlantic flight.
Holy smokes!
And our number 1 top 10 flyer is the Wright brothers.
You know, at their bicycle shop, Orville and Wilbur Wright invented the first airplane. Flown December 17th, 1903. Hey, they thought about waiting a week until December 24th, but they didn't want to crash into Santa's reindeer. Who writes this stuff? Now, I'd like to answer questions about the rights. I call it the right answers.
Question number 1. Where did their first flight take place?
Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Number 2. Who flew first?
Orville.
Number 3. How long was that first flight?
Well, it only lasted 12 seconds. Hey, but it did go 120 feet. Hey, we got all the right answers.
That was pretty good.
No, we owe the Wright brothers so much, really. I mean, if it wasn't for them, the top 10 flyers would look something like this. So there you have it, our top 10 flyers. Great pilots whose accomplishments hold a permanent place in history. So thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun and found a little inspiration. So when you think about achieving your goals, don't be afraid to fly.
Go get him! Go!